Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to work with your freelancer. Obviously, working with a freelancer, working with an employee, working with anybody, there's some guidelines of and rules of engagement of how you work with them. So for me, before I even hire the person, I always make sure that the specs are upfront. So making sure that they have everything they need to know about the scope of work makes it super clear for them if they can do the work. You don't want to hire somebody that can't do the work. That's bad for them because they're going to get a bad review probably if you're annoyed about it, and bad for you because you probably just wasted 2 weeks to a month on trying to work on a project that someone can't do because they didn't have clear requirements up front and they didn't realize that you said you wanted one thing, or they understood that you wanted one thing. It turns out you wanted something else that they can't even do. And then you both are kind of in a tough spot where you have to go now hire someone else, and that person is going to probably get a bad review, so they're unhappy because if Upwork is their livelihood, it's going to impact their livelihood. It's going to be tough for them to recover from that. So specs up front makes it super easy. The next thing is just respect the freelancer. I mean, just because they're a freelancer and they're getting paid like $10 an hour in Nigeria or like Ukraine or something, it doesn't mean that they're any less valuable or any less of a person than someone in your office in the US or wherever you are. You know, they have bills to pay, they have a family to feed. Treating them with respect is super important. Making sure you pay on time is absolutely critical. It's the easiest way to kind of generate some trust. If someone doesn't have to request a milestone and you just pay instantly, if there's money in escrow, if you're working with them fixed price, it makes it super clear that like they can get that money exists. They're not going to get stiffed because they're working with a new client, and they're going to be nervous about that. So being able to disperse money quickly as soon as the milestone is done before they even ask is very great way to build up trust, especially when you're starting out this relationship with the freelancer. The next thing is just make sure they understand the rules of engagement. Make sure they know how you work, what the best communication channels are, how to reach you. Always get some type of off Upwork communication. Don't rely on Upwork's communication because god awful, to be frank. Their website goes down. It randomly boots freelancers. So if you're working with someone on Upwork or even on Fiverr for that matter, make sure you get some type of offline communication, whether that's email, whether it's a Slack channel, whether it's a phone number, WhatsApp, whatever it is. Just make sure you have some way to communicate with the person off of those platforms, because the platforms are capricious. 10% of people I've worked with have just randomly disappeared from the platform. I don't know what happened. I don't know, anything, but the reality is that Upwork just decided to part ways with them. And I'm still working with that person. I'm just paying them on PayPal or something else. Just because Upwork decides to boot someone doesn't mean that you should lose someone who might be valuable to your team, especially if you've worked with them for a couple months at that point. Be sure to have some type of rules of engagement, some type of way for them to get on board, especially when you're working remote. It's really difficult to onboard people onto like a whole new team, a whole new system, whole new kind of processes. Being able to give them some type of video walkthrough, some type of guidelines where they can understand how you are as a manager, what you like to see in a freelancer. So for instance, I like super clear project management skills and communication. So if someone sends me a daily update that they're working on what they're working on, that I'm like a sucker for that. I absolutely love that. It gives me a lot of transparency and I can kind of check in as I need to. So another thing is project management. So if you're rolling the person into your own project management, then they're going to have to kind of understand who the team members are. So you should probably, or you or project manager, whoever you have on your team, should walk them through what the process is, who the people are, what the team members are, what their different roles are, so they can get acquainted with that team. Imagine like pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, what it was like onboarding onto a new company. I mean, it's something that takes like 1 to 3 months. It's like a non-trivial kind of process. And now you have someone who's maybe 1,000 miles away, 10,000 miles away, and they're trying to onboard onto your team. It's not the easiest thing. So being super clear about onboarding, trying to make every accommodation you can so that they can get the information they need to get up and running as quickly as possible onto your projects. The last thing is just being sure that you are a good person. I mean, it sounds like kind of a trivial thing, but a lot of people don't treat freelancers well. I mentioned at the beginning, respect. Respect is super critical. Making sure that they feel taken care of, they feel listened to, that their input is validated, and just generally making sure that they feel like they're part of the team. The nice thing about working with freelancers in general is that you can kind of turn them on and off as needed. So if you're working on, say, social media graphics, and you need a lot of social media graphics to support a launch, you can turn them up and you can have them working like 10, 20 hours a week if they can support it. And then once you're done with that, you can turn them back down to like 0 hours a week if needed. So it's a nice position for you as a boss to be in. And it's also really important that you don't treat them like a machine that you turn on and off. It's someone that you can work with, you can build a relationship with, and you can work with for many years to come, especially if you find that they're pretty good. And that's something that I've I've done. Like I'm working with people that I've been working with on Upwork for the last 3-4 years at this point. So it's really pays off huge dividends if you can treat them well. And the easiest ways to treat them well are clear upfront requirements, clear guidelines, quick payment. And then to really lock them down, I sometimes, especially for fixed price, is I'll give them bonuses. So if you give like a 10% bonus, 20% bonus on like a milestone or a fixed price kind of project, say they made an app for just $1,000 for easy numbers, you give an extra $200, $100, that's going to make them feel more appreciated, right? That's going to make them say like, oh, this client, not only is he, paying on time, not only is he giving me clear requirements, he's also paying me above what I asked because he thought the work that I did was good, which means that in the future, when you ask for something, even if you are asking for a lower price, they're more likely to work with you. People like to work with people who are easy to work with. No one wants to work with a jerk because it causes so much unnecessary stress. Working with people that you like to work with is like, it's almost like no work at all. It's the best part about working on projects is working with good people. So being really clear, being very friendly, being very nice to these people and treating them well will already set you apart from a lot of other, like most other clients out there. And then going a little bit above and beyond by paying them bonuses, giving them some extra money, and giving them interesting projects is just a great way to kind of lock down that relationship and make it into a long-term relationship where you can go back to this person again and again for years to come and continue building incredible products for your company and for your customers. So let me know if you have any other questions or things that I can make future videos on. Always happy to dive deeper into any of these subjects, especially with working with freelancers and kind of the benefits to your company. Thanks.